viewers, welcome back to the second episode of the June edition, and we are continuing from where we left off. We covered international and national news. Continuing on the national policies, the next big change that has been brought about in India has been the rules with respect to BPO liberalization. Now, we knew that the actual outsourcing boom for India started with the back office process outsourcing beginning to happen in India. Initially, it was medical transcription, and then we moved to voice-based system, and then we moved to software outsourcing, and today we have a very robust outsourcing business. And in fact, there's a word called Bangalore, which actually means that jobs get shifted from outside the world to Bangalore, which actually has grown up to be a hub for technology companies. Now, continuing on the same line without deviating, now the BPO industry, which was predominantly we also called as other service providers or voice-based BPOs, the rules and regulations governing that has been relaxed. Now the new rules have also removed the distinction between domestic and international entities. Now, what it actually translates to, the idea and the objective is to reduce the operating cost for these entities. Now, there are two significant things that has happened. The BPOs can now leverage their telecoms resources to serve customers both within India and globally. There was one major bottleneck which was actually not actually allowing these BPO companies to explore and expand, is that there were some restrictions that were imposed that the local network or the local Indian carrier and the foreign network cannot be terminated in the same EPBX, and there cannot be a conferencing facility between an international, let's say, an internet-based voice over internet protocol with a local carrier. So this actually it has become redundant, because today even the national carriers use internet for transmitting or transporting the voice messages. So by letting go and allowing the interconnectivity between all types of service providers, including EPBX located anywhere in the world, has actually liberated this industry and will allow them to go about and expand their business, because they will no more be legally violating these sections. Though this rule was more ignored, but legally they will have the freedom to go about and do it. Now the entities can have the facility even in a third-party country or in a third-party location in India and abroad, and there will be no restrictions with respect to interconnectivity between the group companies or outside the group company or a third-party entity, which means there's absolutely total freedom to use the telecom revolution and telecom improvements to connect between different countries using different technologies, using internet and voice-based, terminating in the same EPBX, having the service in any country, and thereby critically use the manpower capability and the capability to speak in English and comprehension capability of Indians to serve the world. No, definitely this will do two good things to India. It will provide a lot of employment opportunities to up and coming graduates who are passing out. This year has been something which we have been terribly affected because of COVID. There has not been many campus recruitments, and therefore there's going to be an enhanced opportunity of employability for graduates, and it will also increase the ease of doing business in India. The next very major development that has been announced is ethanol doping. Now, what is ethanol doping? We discussed in our Anew series sometime back that there is a mixture of ethanol to our petroleum products. Earlier it was around 2%, then we increased to 5%. Now all of a sudden, government has come and advanced the 20% target that was set for ethanol doping from 2030 to 2023. Which means in 2 years' time, we are going to see the ethanol blending to our fossil fuels that we are using for our transportation, petrol and diesel, is going to be 20%. Now, we all know that India is world's third biggest oil importer, and 85% of our demand is actually met for import. So along with gold, defense and oil is also a major industry where there's an outflow of foreign exchange, and therefore to reduce this dependency on foreign exchange, and also the fact that India is a very fast growing economy would mean that we would have rapidly expanded our import possibility for fossil fuels, and with today's OPEC not cutting down, not bringing down the prices or increasing the supply, we would have actually ended up spending a lot of money in imports. So this will suddenly become this 20% blending with the fossil fuel will suddenly become a 1,000 crore industry. Because we will be requiring close to 10 billion liters of ethanol to be blended, and therefore this sugar industry will be a major beneficiary of it. So nearly 6 million tons of surplus sugar will be used to produce 7 billion liters of ethanol. So out of the total requirement for 10 billion liters of ethanol, 7 billion liters of ethanol will come from diverting 6 million tons of surplus sugar. We already know India has got a massive surplus of sugar stocks, and we are struggling to use it or even sell it. And the remaining 3 billion liters of ethanol will come from the produce of excess grain. So India is also actually suffering, or rather blessed, with surplus grain. Our FCI godowns are bursting on its seams. We don't have enough place to grow, store this surplus grain. Fortunately or unfortunately, because of the failure of crops in certain countries, we are able to export rice, but still we hold a substantial excess of food grains. Now, so the 3 billion liters of ethanol will come from this excess grain. So there will be two major benefits out of it. One thing is that the forex outflow will come down, number one. Number two, the farm incomes can substantially increase. The income for sugar industry will also substantially increase. So it's a very smart move by the government, and I think we should rejoice. The next major development is the government has decided to link the electronic codes with the land records and registration database. Now, this will substantially reduce the dubious transaction happening in the registration department, which is a state subject, but having a national backbone for exchange of this data will really help us. It will reduce the dispute that could probably come up because of differences in how the land records are. It will also reduce the clogging in the courts, because if you look at the civil courts, predominantly these civil courts are clogged with the land disputes. A pilot project has already been implemented in Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana, and soon it will be launched all over the country. Nearly 8 high courts have already accepted to this integration, and basically it will try to integrate the land records and registration database with the e-courts using the National Judicial Data Grid. And therefore it is very clearly seen that this will substantially reduce the load of cases in the court now and going forward. So we are seeing India is beginning to use the benefits and fruits of technology and our broadband backbone to efficiently serve the citizens. So we have seen it being used in Aadhaar. We have seen it now being used in KYC all across the country. We have also seen that this was used for vaccination drives. We are seeing that it is already being used in ration cards, voter ID cards, and now finally we are going to see it begin to happen in judicial process also. Another very interesting development that has happened is that integration of traffic regulation. So we know that over a period of time we have a very beautiful portal called Vahan, which is basically an initiative by the Road Transport Ministry, and they have a database of almost all the vehicles that are registered in India, make, model, year, and every details, the CC and everything, except for just 1 or 2 small states. Most of them are on board. Now, what has happened interestingly is recently this technology of linking has been used by a few cities. Even in the city that I come from, Chennai, the CCTV cameras installed in few locations were able to identify the stop line violations or rash and negligent drivings. The number plates were extracted from the CCTV grabs using the object-oriented programming, and then it was cross-checked with the Vahan website, and automatic challans were generated and sent to the latest address of all those people who had these registration plates. And therefore we are seeing that slowly people are becoming aware that you don't need a cop to find out whether you violated. If you violate, a challan will be issued to you. So we are seeing once again the dividend of technology being used to discipline a country. We are a country, unfortunately, we will follow a discipline only when the stick is raised, not when someone coaxes you. So we are going to use discipline once again to actually bring discipline to our country. The major beneficiary more than all these things is definitely our roads will be safer. Our children can confidently cross the road. The road safety will improve, the road traffic accidents will come down, the insurance companies will get benefited because they will have to settle much lesser third party claims, and even the vehicle maintenance will become much better. So overall, just one small initiative, being able to use the database that's available and using our technology backbone, can change the behavior patterns of the citizens. So this is another very interesting development that has happened. And the next another development on the same lines, using the digital strength of our country, is the government is going ahead with adoption of open network for digital commerce. So it's called as ONDC. So the whole idea is to prevent companies having digital monopolies. So today we are in a world where there are certain companies which have a digital monopoly, and that's not good for any country or any citizens. So a 9-member advisory council has been formed, and fortunately for us, the person who headed the Aadhaar initiative, who is the non-executive chairman of Infosys, Mr. Nandan Nilekani, and also the National Health Advisory Chief, Mr. R.S. Sharma, are among this 9-member council. So these two people actually work together and deliver India the Aadhaar database and the Aadhaar initiative. So once again, we can see that a major initiative is going to happen over this place. This is the news for this episode. Viewers, stay tuned. We are going to come back and then we are going to discuss a lot more initiatives that the state governments are taken. We are going to talk about trends. We are going to talk about innovation and certain interesting tidbits. Thank you so much for watching us. Stay tuned. We'll come back with the next episode.